Long before the Scarlet Crusades, best and brightest had been expended on the shores of Northrend as part of the senseless Scarlet Onslaught, which sought to bring down the Lich King. They occupied a fair bit of the lands that formerly belonged to the shattered kingdom of Lordaeron. One of their main enclaves was Hearthglen, situated in the northern part of what is now known as the Western Plague Lands. Its mountainous terrain meant it was easily defended from the Scourge. Some of those brave enough to keep the darkness at bay were more important than others, however, and as such, whichever treacherous soul brought themselves to crush the last hope of a reforged Lordaeron by slaying them would be rewarded with great riches. Hearthglen holds 5 rare mobs within the city walls, with 2 additional scarlet rares a bit further to the south. One is found at the watchtower where Tyrion has his showdown with the Grand Inquisitor, and the other at the lumber mill where envious Nathaniel Dumas has greedy mercenaries disrupt the Crusade's noble operations by setting termites loose on the facility. But let's start inside the walls. The Scarlet Interrogator is housed in one of the more prominent buildings of Hearthglen's bustling central square, perhaps a testament to his importance in uncertain times such as these. The Crusade's righteous cause is being threatened by enemies from without as well as within, and these enemies, if found out, are sure to taste the tools of the interrogator's trade. Where there are confessions, judgment must follow. The Scarlet Judge occupies what in more civilized times would have been considered the town hall of Hearthglen. Here he rules over the fate of those who forsake the Crusade's commandments, dispensing justice in accordance with the tenets of the Holy Light. But what is a judge without an executioner? For those unfortunate and disloyal enough to be sentenced, the Scarlet Executioner awaits, sitting atop Hearthglen's sentry tower. Few have ever seen his face. He walks among the Crusaders, one of many, until it is time to put on the mask and do his dirty but necessary business. Those with more lenient sentences might be lucky to be sent to the mines of Hearthglen. Under Foreman Jerry's watchful eye, those unfit to serve in the Crusade's front lines, be it due to injury or cowardice, may still do their part. Toiling away in the darkness, the precious metals they unearth are crucial to the Scarlet War effort, and as such, the judge makes sure the mines are always well supplied with labor force. Lastly, the Scarlet Smith. It is he who holds the key to the Scarlet Crusade's continued efforts in the Plague Lands. Without his expertise, their blades would be dull and their armor eventually shattered. It is said Hearthglen's forge never rests, ever since Prince Arthas betrayed his own father in a most heinous act, and neither do the Crusaders rest in their fight to reclaim their homeland from the dark forces occupying it. As mentioned, there are 2 notable members of the Crusade not within the confines of the walls. One of them is the Scarlet High Clerist. The second one is Foreman Markrid, arguably a less desirable post than that of his colleague in the mine. Markrid keeps the lumberjacks busy and makes sure roaming bands of ghouls and the wildlife, which has turned quite hostile ever since the plague swept through the land, doesn't take more of them out than can be easily replaced. With that, we're through. This is the list of all the rares in and around Hearthglen. But wait, I hear you ask, what about their loot? Well, remember the theory we discussed in our first rare mob video? If not, you should probably go watch it. To summarize though, it feels like there are a lot more unique drops on rare mobs the further down you go in levels, probably because a lot of that content was designed first. Most of the mobs in higher level zones seem to indeed drop random leveled green BoEs. This is the loot table of some of the Scarlet mobs in Hearthglen. There are, however, 2 exceptions which I found quite interesting. First off, the Scarlet Smith, who actually does drop a unique item. They're the plans for the runic plate leggings. These have quite a lot of armor and boast 14 fire as well as nature resistance. I can't say I've ever seen anyone craft these, but they may have been cool to have in 2005. I don't know. Their mats are kind of outrageous, by the way. 40 thorium bars, 2 arcanite bars, and a star ruby. Now, if you thought that was weird, look at what our friend Foreman Margaret drops. He drops plans for Frostguard. I've been playing this game for about as long as I can read, and I had no idea this weapon exists. 41.3 DPS is frankly pretty crazy for non 60 dungeon one hands. However, the sword is quite a bit too fast to be decent as a main hand DPS weapon, and its proc feels a little bit lackluster as well when it comes to DPS. Apparently, there was also an issue with the item back in 2005, with it never proccing. Something that, according to the Wowhead comments, was fixed as late as patch 1.8. However, most people agreed that it still sucked, and those that didn't were rumored to be blacksmiths who just wanted to turn a quick buck. I had a good laugh going through some of those comments, so I pasted some of them in here for you. And, I wouldn't mind the weapon were it not for the fact it takes 18 Arcanite bars, 8 blue sapphires, 8 Azerothian diamonds, 4 essence of water, 2 dense grinding stones, and 4 enchanted leather to craft it. Well, there it is. Those are Hearthglen's rares, but for my alpha crowd, I've got a little tidbit. A look at the interior of Hearthglen's castle. This is what Talon Fordring looked like in 2003. This is what he looks like in 2005, and still now, I guess. But here's the weird part. The interior of Talon's residence was actually fully furnished in the alpha version. There are decorations on the walls with weapons that are arguably a bit too big, tables standing around, and the like. That's not present in the current version of Classic, and I also checked on my private 1.12 client, where it also isn't present. So if you have any idea why they might have removed that, please let me know, because I can't explain it, other than for performance reasons, but again, how performance impacting can that bit of geometry even be? Anyways, happy holidays, and I'll see you soon.